Kyiv has just received a game-changing boost. The UK has just delivered a fresh batch of Storm Shadow missiles to Ukraine, missiles capable of striking deep inside Russian territory. This isn't just another military shipment. It's a signal to Moscow that Ukraine's reach is growing, Western support is unwavering, and the war is far from over. But what does this mean for the battlefield, for diplomacy, and for the future of the conflict? Today, we break down the latest developments, the technology behind these weapons, and why Western support might just outlast Russia's war machine. In early November 2025, the United Kingdom delivered a fresh batch of Storm Shadow long-range cruise missiles to Ukraine, further strengthening Kyiv's ability to strike deep into Russian territory. While the exact number of missiles remains undisclosed due to operational secrecy, the resupply sends a clear strategic message. Western support for Ukraine is long-term and steadfast. The timing of the delivery is significant. Winter is approaching, and Russian attacks on Ukrainian civilians and infrastructure are expected to intensify. Maintaining a stockpile of advanced, precision-guided missiles is essential for Ukraine to defend its territory and exert pressure on Russian military operations. British officials have emphasized that these shipments are intended not only to support Ukrainian defense, but also to demonstrate that Moscow cannot count on the conflict burning itself out. The West is fully committed to sustaining Ukraine's long-range strike capabilities. According to Bloomberg, these missiles are designed for precision strikes, traveling at high speeds at low altitudes, using advanced guidance systems to evade air defenses. Storm Shadow missiles have already proven their effectiveness in combat. Defense experts note that this delivery isn't just about immediate battlefield utility. It is also a symbolic move. It shows that the UK and its allies are committed to standing by Ukraine as long as necessary, even as Moscow struggles under economic sanctions and logistical challenges. This combination of timing, advanced technology, and strategic intent makes the latest batch of Storm Shadows a game-changer in Kyiv's campaign to apply pressure deep inside Russian territory. The Storm Shadow missile is one of the most advanced long-range cruise weapons available to Ukraine today, and understanding its capabilities helps explain why it's such a strategic asset. Developed by the British defense company MBDA, the Storm Shadow is an air-launched, precision-guided cruise missile capable of striking targets up to 250 to 560 kilometers away, depending on the variant. What makes this missile particularly deadly is its low altitude, high-speed flight, which allows it to evade radar and penetrate even well-protected air defense systems. It relies on a combination of inertial navigation, GPS, and terrain reference guidance, ensuring extreme accuracy against high-value targets, whether military infrastructure, ammunition depots, or industrial facilities. The Storm Shadow isn't just about hardware, it also represents the interconnected support of Western allies. While the missile is British-made, it relies on U.S. targeting data to operate at full effectiveness, demonstrating the high level of coordination required among NATO partners to supply Ukraine with advanced weapons. Since its deployment, Ukraine has used Storm Shadows to strike deep into Russian territory, including the Bryansk Chemical Plant, Kursk Oblast, and Russian-occupied Crimea, successfully hitting critical military-industrial sites. These strikes show that Ukraine now has the ability to threaten targets far beyond the front line, creating both military and psychological pressure on Moscow. In short, the Storm Shadow is more than just a missile. It is a symbol of Ukraine's growing operational reach, Western backing, and the escalating stakes of long-range precision warfare in 2025. On October 21, 2025, Ukrainian forces launched a major operation against the Bryansk Chemical Plant in Russia's Bryansk Oblast, marking one of the most significant deep strike attacks in the conflict so far. This operation was not just a simple missile strike, it was a coordinated assault involving Ukraine's Air Force, Navy, and land forces, working in tandem to deliver maximum impact. Using the UK-supplied Storm Shadow missiles, Ukrainian forces successfully penetrated Russian air defenses and struck the plant, a critical hub for Moscow's military-industrial complex. The facility produces gunpowder, explosives, and components for rocket fuel, which are essential in the production of artillery shells, missiles, and other munitions used against Ukrainian cities and infrastructure. By hitting this target, Ukraine significantly disrupted Russia's ability to sustain large-scale attacks. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine described the plant as a key facility and noted that the results of the strike were still being verified, though early reports suggested substantial damage. Beyond its immediate military effect, the attack also carried a symbolic message. Ukraine's long-range precision capabilities can now reach even the heart of Russia's war industry, sending a warning that no facility contributing to the war effort is out of reach. This strike was a continuation of Ukraine's broader strategy of deep precision strikes. Over the past months, Kyiv has increasingly targeted Russian production facilities, radar systems, and drone manufacturing sites, applying sustained pressure on Moscow while simultaneously showing the world the effectiveness of Western-supplied technology combined with Ukraine's own operational planning. As the General Staff emphasized, these operations are not just tactical, they are strategically transformative, reshaping the dynamics of the conflict and highlighting how Ukraine can leverage long-range weapons to degrade Russia's war-making capacity from afar. While the Storm Shadow missiles have given Ukraine a significant deep strike capability, Kyiv has long sought American-made Tomahawk cruise missiles to further expand its operational reach. With ranges of 1,600 to 2,500 kilometers, Tomahawks would allow Ukraine to strike critical Russian infrastructure far beyond the capabilities of the Storm Shadow, including oil and energy facilities, ammunition depots, and logistical hubs, potentially weakening Moscow's war economy in a single coordinated operation. However, Ukraine's efforts to secure these missiles faced serious obstacles. On October 17, 2025, President Volodymyr Zelensky met with U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House to discuss long-range missile support. Zelensky emphasized the strategic value of Tomahawks, noting that their deployment could apply direct pressure on Russia while minimizing risks to Ukrainian civilians. Despite these discussions, the meeting did not yield the desired results. As Zelensky explained after the talks, the U.S. does not want an escalation, signaling Washington's reluctance to provide such a potent weapon amid ongoing tensions. Trump himself described Tomahawks as a big deal and warned that supplying them could further escalate the conflict, while also emphasizing that the U.S. needs these missiles for its own defense. Though the talks were cordial, Zelensky left without a commitment. The failed request highlights a critical point. While Western support is strong, it is layered and politically complex, with allies weighing the risks of escalation alongside their strategic desire to help Ukraine. This limitation underscores why the Storm Shadow missiles remain Ukraine's primary tool for deep strikes for now. Even without Tomahawks, Kyiv has proven it can deliver surgical, high-impact attacks deep inside Russian territory, demonstrating that capability alone can serve as both a military asset and a bargaining chip in broader diplomatic negotiations. U.S. President Donald Trump has consistently approached the Ukraine conflict with a focus on avoiding escalation while maintaining leverage over both sides. In October 2025, following meetings with President Zelensky and phone discussions with Russian President Vladimir Putin, Trump emphasized the need to stop where they are and avoid actions that could ignite a wider conflict. Trump expressed caution regarding the supply of long-range missiles, such as the Tomahawk, which Ukraine has sought to strike deep inside Russia. He described these weapons as a big deal and stressed that providing them could heighten tensions, though he did not entirely rule out future discussions. His position reflects a broader concern within Washington, balancing support for Ukraine with the risk of provoking Moscow into a stronger or more unpredictable response. The U.S. president's approach also underscored his belief in diplomacy as a tool for conflict management. Trump had planned a face-to-face summit with Putin in Hungary, which ultimately fell apart when Russia refused to freeze battle lines or agree to a ceasefire. Despite this, Trump remained publicly optimistic, stating, "Hopefully they won't need it. Hopefully we'll be able to get the war over without thinking about Tomahawks. I think we are fairly close to that." For Ukraine, Trump's cautious stance highlights the limitations of relying solely on American support for long-range operations. While the Storm Shadow missiles from the UK provide immediate operational capabilities, the absence of Tomahawks limits Kyiv's reach and underscores the political constraints behind Western military aid. In November 2025, UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer called on Western leaders to boost Ukraine's long-range strike capabilities, framing it as a critical step toward ending the war. According to Starmer, strengthening Kyiv's arsenal is not just about battlefield success, it is about creating the strategic leverage necessary to bring Russia to the negotiating table. This push is part of a broader 5-step plan aimed at increasing pressure on Moscow. Number 1. Cut Russian oil and gas from international markets to weaken the Kremlin's revenue streams. Number 2. Use frozen Russian assets to fund Ukraine's defense, ensuring Kyiv can sustain its military efforts. Number 3. Strengthen Ukraine's air defense support to protect civilians and infrastructure from escalating attacks. Number 4. Continue military pressure through long-range capabilities, including Storm Shadow and potentially other precision missiles. Number 5. Support diplomatic leverage, making clear that Ukraine's deep strike capacity can influence negotiations. The Prime Minister emphasized that long-range weapons like Storm Shadow are key to ending the conflict, signaling to both Russia and the international community that Western backing for Ukraine will persist. This stance reinforces the message that military support is not temporary. It is designed to outlast Russia's ability to sustain its war effort, while simultaneously shaping the diplomatic environment in Kyiv's favor. While Western-supplied weapons like the Storm Shadow missiles have been critical for Ukraine's long-range strike capabilities, Kyiv has also been rapidly innovating its own military technology to complement these advanced systems. This combination of foreign and domestic tools has allowed Ukraine to maximize the impact of its operations deep inside Russian territory. One notable example is the Sea Baby maritime drone, a new generation of unmanned vehicles that have already been used in combat missions. According to Brigadier General Ivan Lukashevich, these upgraded drones were instrumental in delivering equipment and explosives during operations such as the third strike on the Crimean Bridge on June 3, 2025. By integrating homegrown drones and missiles with Western technology, Ukraine is creating a flexible, hybrid strike capability that can adapt to different targets and threats. Additionally, Ukraine's domestic innovation extends to long-range missile systems and tactical drones, which have been used to complement Storm Shadow strikes against Russian targets. For example, while Storm Shadows hit high-value industrial targets like the Bryansk Chemical Plant, Ukrainian-made drones and missile systems can handle smaller, agile, or time-sensitive targets, creating a multi-layered offensive approach. This approach demonstrates Ukraine's strategic ingenuity. It isn't simply relying on allies, it is actively combining imported precision weapons with indigenous technology to sustain operational pressure on Russian forces. This synergy not only increases the effectiveness of attacks, but also sends a clear message. Ukraine is capable of defending itself, striking key targets, and innovating in real time to meet the challenges of modern warfare. This combination of foreign and domestic power has become a critical factor in Kyiv's strategy to apply pressure on Moscow while safeguarding its own sovereignty. The delivery of Storm Shadow missiles shows that Ukraine's long-range strike capabilities are stronger than ever, combining Western technology with domestic innovation. From Bryansk to Kursk, these weapons are reshaping the battlefield. One thing is clear: Ukraine's resilience, ingenuity, and strategic partnerships are changing the dynamics of the conflict, and the world is watching closely. What do you think? Can Ukraine's new arsenal change the course of the war or bring Russia closer to negotiations? Comment below and share your thoughts.